So let's have a look at the fourth adjustment for V. Leahy for 2023 higher level sole trader account. So this is your suspense question or suspense adjustment. So it's saying the suspensive figure arises as a result of the incorrect figure for mortgage interest. So that's telling us that the mortgage interest that we paid up here in the question of 2,300, that's wrong. Okay, so we need to correct that. So two things we need to do. We need to find out what is the yearly mortgage interest figure, how much we should have paid for the first 3 months. And I like to keep the mortgage interest due. I like to keep these two together. So I'm going to put in or calculate the mortgage interest due here as well. Second part then of it is saying that the discount received of 600 entered only in the discount account. So if it's discount received, we're getting a discount on the amount of money that we owe, so we need to reduce our creditors. And from that then, from those two errors or those two suspense figures, we need to adjust the salary and general expenses figure as well. So the way I do this adjustment is I find out the mortgage interest for the year. That's going to go take away from my operating income. I'm going to find out my mortgage interest due figure. That's going to go into my balance sheet and my current liabilities. Then I'm going to adjust my creditors and adjust my suspense. So first thing we need to do is find out how much my mortgage interest is. So it's telling us here that I've got 3,200 in mortgages. I got one mortgage on the 1st to the 6th, so I don't have that for the full year. So I need to take that away to find out how much I'm going to find out for the yearly figure and find out then how much it is for this new mortgage that I got on the 1st to the 6th. So I'm going to take the 5,000 away from the 3,200. I'm going to get 2,700. So that's going to be multiplied by 3% because that's my 3% fixed mortgage. Then I've got 500 then, or 5,000 of a new mortgage that I purchased on the 1st to the 6th. So I got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's going to be 7 12s. Remember, these two added together should give you 320,000. And that 320,000 goes into your finance buy and it goes in your balance sheet. So that's the figure that goes into my balance sheet in my finance buy section. So let's find out what is my mortgage interest for the year. So 270,000, multiply that by 3%. It's going to give me 8,100. And then on the 50,000 then, so 50,000, multiply that by 3%. Multiply by 7 months, so multiply by 7 12ths. So it's going to be 850. So my yearly amount is going to be 8,970. So that's my yearly mortgage interest. Now I always put my mortgage interest due together. So I'm going to check and see if it's saying anything towards the end about mortgage interest. So it's no, 20% of mortgage interest for the year refers to the private section of the building. So of this 8,750, I need to find 20% and reduce this mortgage interest by 20% and then put that figure then into my drawings. So my interest for the year is 8,973. Of that 20% then, so I'm going to multiply that 8,975, going to multiply that by 20%. So my mortgage interest is the difference between the two. So that's 7,180. That's going to go into my mortgage interest in the profit and loss account as part of my taken away from my operating income. So let's find out how much of this mortgage interest was wrong. So it's telling us that the mortgage interest paid for the first 4 months was 2,300. So I paid 2,300. What I should have paid, we're going to take this 8,100 because that's how much the interest was for the first 4 months. I'm going to multiply, well, it's for the first year, but the first 4 months are included in this 8,100. So I'm going to take this 8,100, multiply by 4/12, and that's going to give me 2,700. So I should have paid 2,700 in total. So what I need to do is I need to increase my mortgage interest paid by that figure of 2,700. So what I need to do is I need to add 400 onto this 2,300. So that means that my debit side is now higher than my credit side. So in my suspense, what I need to do is I need to take 400 away from that figure. So if I take 400 away, now my debit side is down. So debits and credits are equal. And that means now I can calculate my mortgage interest. So the amount for my mortgage interest is 9,750 or 8,975. So because I've paid that 2,700 is how much I should have paid for the first 4 months, I can now reduce that 2,700 from my mortgage interest, and that's going to give me my mortgage interest due that it's going to go into my balance sheet as a current liability. So that's my mortgage interest. So I found out my yearly mortgage interest, so 8,975. Then I just kept my mortgage interest due together, found out in the question as part 10, I think it was, part 9, that 20% of the mortgage interest goes through drawings. So I needed to reduce my debentures by that 20%. And then I found out how much I should have paid for the first 4 months. So we paid 3,200 from the trial balance, should have paid 2,700. That was taken to 8,100 from this adjustment here. Remember that 8,100 is for the year. So for first 4 months, I need to find out of this 8,100, how much should the mortgage interest have been for the first 4 months. So it should have been 2,700. So that's a difference of 400. So then on my trial balance, I'm saying I need to add 400 onto this 2,300. That means my debit side is now up by 400. My suspense is part of salaries and general expenses. That's on the debit side. So I need to take away 400 away from it to make my debits and credits equal. The next part of that adjustment was talking about this discount received of 600 entered only in the discount account. So because it's received, I need to reduce my creditors. So remember, discount received and creditors go together. Discount allowed and debtors go together. So I'm going to go minus 600 here. So my credit side is now down 600. So my suspense is part of my debtors. So I need to take away 600 from my suspense account. So now the debit side and the credit side are the same. So my suspense figure then, I can adjust my suspense figure. So my salaries, as per the question, 136,400. I'm taking away 400 from my mortgage, and then I'm also, haven't put in here, but I'm also taking away 600. So this 600 here is going to be taken away as well. So I'm taking away 600 as well from my suspense. So my new suspense figure is going to be 135,400. On my new figure for my salaries and general expenses, that's going to be into my profit and loss. That's part of my administration. I also need to adjust my drawings. So my drawings in the question is 45,000. I need to add on my interest of 1,750, and I think there's another adjustment in this question. We're just going to do those two there. that'll go into your balance sheet as part of your finance buy. And then I also need to adjust my creditors. So the creditors have to go up by 600. And remember, your creditors were part of your first adjustment. Sorry, we're part of your second adjustment. So if we go back here to the goods in transit, we've got 113,975. Then this suspense, then we need to take that 600 away. So it's going to give us a new creditors figure then of 113,375, and that goes into your balance sheet as the current liability. So once again, a little bit involved in that one. So we need to find out the mortgage interest for this year. So a little bit involved in that, we got 8,975. Then with this question, because I like to keep my mortgage interest due together, I looked down at the end of the question and I found out that of that mortgage interest, 20% went to your drawings. So I found my 20% and I decreased it. So I decreased my mortgage interest and I increased my drawings with that 1,750. Then I went to find out my mortgage interest due. So I got 8,975 is the yearly amount. Remember, this is the figure that goes into my operating income. And this is the figure that goes into my drawings. My interest is still 8,975. So it told me in the question that the figure I had here of 2,300 is wrong. So to find out what is the correct figure, so of this 8,100, which is the yearly interest, okay, the first 4 months is part of that 8,100. So I had to find out how much interest was for the first 4 months. So it's 2,700. So there's a difference of 400. So that 2,700 is what should have been paid. So my mortgage interest due is this 6,275. So I need to increase my mortgage interest by 400. Debits and credits are not the same. So because my suspense is on the debit side, I need to take away 400 from my suspense to make debits and credits the same. And then the last part then was I had discount received of 600. That was only put into my discount account. So I need to decrease my creditors by 600. So my creditors is going to go down by 600. That means the debits and credits are not the same. So I need to take another 600 away from my suspense. And that's your fifth adjustment, I think, for Leahy. So it's your fourth adjustment for Leahy suspense account 2023 sole trader higher level.